Hello, and welcome to the SaturdayMP Show, episode number 14, being recorded on September 24th, 2023. My name is Chris, and I'm your host today, and the SaturdayMP Show is about helping you ship secure, high-quality software faster. And so we kind of do this through examples, some live coding, Q&A. And if you have any questions, feel free to send them to ask@SaturdayMP.com. So send me an email to ask@SaturdayMP.com. Or you can also leave comments in the video below. That would be much appreciated if you have any suggestions or a question you'd like answered in a future video. So today we're going to talk about rate limiting. And in this case, we're going to do it through an example of using NGINX and Fail2Ban. And so this was a demo or a talk I gave last year at the BSides Edmonton in 2022. And I was kind of reminded about this because I'm attending BSides Edmonton 2023. While I'm recording this, I'll be attending it tomorrow. So by the time this is out, it's probably too late. But if you happen to see me at BSides Edmonton, let me know. Here, I'll just BSides Edmonton. Yeah, so this is the conference. And so the other reason I'm recording this video is because when I did this presentation at BSides Edmonton, there was trouble with the projector. The audio video they had set up for whatever reason would not work with Macs. And so I had my presentation all set up ready to go on a Mac, on my MacBook Pro, but it didn't work. So I had to delay my presentation, and there was another fellow at the conference. Maybe if I get permission to mention his name, we'll throw it in the comments. But he was very kind enough to lend me his Linux-based laptop when we moved my presentation over there, which was we had to set up Docker and get a couple other things set up on it so I could present. But one of the things I remember the presenter asking me, like when we were struggling to get my Mac working, was, "Hey, do you have this recorded?" And I was like, "Oh, I actually don't know." I was like, I just created the presentation, ran through it a couple times at home, and was kind of ready to present. And ironically, I had everything ready if I had to do it offline. Like I had all the Docker images set up on my laptop, all the slides downloaded in case the internet didn't work. But I never thought that I wouldn't even be able to connect my computer at all. So it was kind of a bummer. But anyway, the presentation did happen just much later in the day. And thanks again to that fellow who helped me with let me use his laptop. That was great. Yeah, so anyway, BSides, for those who don't know, is a security conference here in Edmonton. And here's kind of just, you can read about what's going to happen this year. I'm not presenting this year, I'm just attending. And I'm really looking forward to it because they had some interesting talks last year. And they also have a Capture the Flag event. So I think, which was a lot of fun. It was the first time I'd ever done anything Capture the Flag. Yeah, it was just, I learned a lot. I got to meet some interesting people, helped me on some problems. And I'm hoping the same thing this year. So I'm sure I'll be in the Capture the Flag. Last year they had a room set up. I'm assuming it'll be the same this year. So I'll probably be in that room, just hanging out there and attending the couple of the presentations I like to attend. Yeah, assuming I make it there in time. I did have a flat tire yesterday, so I have to go figure out if I can get the tire fixed bright and early tomorrow morning before I go to BSides Edmonton. Maybe I'll be Ubering or taking the bus. We fixed the flat tire last night, got the spare on, but we broke a lug nut. Not a lug nut, we broke one of the lug bolts getting the old tire off. So I don't want to drive around too much with I guess there's 4 out of 5, so it's better than nothing, but I don't want to risk it, especially with just the spare on there. So anyway, enough about my sad life. What are we going to do today? Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so let's just go through this example here. So if you want to follow along, you can find, I'll throw this will be in the comments down below, the link to this, but you can find it here on GitHub under the SaturdayMP-examples folder, or not folder, the GitHub organization or whatever. So I have the SaturdayMP GitHub organization or group. And then I also have the examples one. So this is where I put the presentations I've done in the past, templates and stuff like this. So yeah, you can check it out there. So you can follow along there. And you should probably have Docker installed. If you don't have Docker installed, you can also follow along, assuming you have access to just something else that's running Linux. Pretty much any version of Linux will work, because most Linux versions will have a version of Linux installed with NGINX and Fail2Ban, but most versions of Linux will come with Fail2Ban installed already, and it'll also be set up to automatically block SSH. If you get too many SSH requests, Fail2Ban will kick in. That's usually how a lot of versions of Linux are set up these days, kind of out of the box. They probably won't have NGINX installed. You'll have to install it yourself. So, okay, so speaking of starting, I don't have this cloned yet, so I did just a little while ago update my Docker containers to the latest version of well, I'll have to hide some of that. What was I trying to say? I updated some of the Docker containers with the newer version of the NGINX Docker image. So that's about the only changes I've made in that repo for the past year or so. Okay, so let's clone this. At least I don't think I have it downloaded. I thought I deleted it. Yeah, okay. All right, so there. Yeah, you can see. Oh, and I updated the README. Good for me. Okay, so we got that cloned. Let's get this out of the way here. Let's get Visual. Oh, do I have it? Oh, I have it open already. Okay, there we go. Visual Studio Code open. Open folder. Desktop repos. There we go. All right, so here's the repo. There's going to be two Docker files in here. One is just kind of sets up the image with no rate limiting or banning set up, and then the end one is, with everything set up correctly. So, and then so you can either run these Docker files, or I even have a Docker Compose file here set up that you can run Docker Compose with the demo start and the demo end if you want the correct everything in there. But we'll go through these steps one at a time. Okay, so first of all, let's get this Docker container. We want to, and the other thing is I have a lot of these instructions here. How to build the container, some useful commands for NGINX and Fail2Ban, how you can send a bunch of requests to it to test that when things get banned, where to find the log files, stuff like that. So the other thing you might notice, if you're not used to Docker and you're just used to Linux images, like there's some Docker, the Docker containers that NGINX runs on, if I remember correctly, it's a Debian base, but it has a lot of the Linux features kind of turned off or disabled. They're not installed by default because oftentimes they're not needed. So you'll notice when we set this up, we have less just so I can view some log files easily. But anyway, this all Fail2Ban, and IP tables is not installed by default. And then we also have to make sure that these logs are set up correctly so we can view them inside the Docker image so they won't be written to an external image or anything like that. So that's what these are for. And then the end one we just copy down here some completed, correctly set up files. So okay. What the heck? Oh, demo start Docker Compose. Oh, then I got my instructions over here. Oh, we got to build it first. Build. Let's build a demo. Oops. Demo start. All right. Well, let's take it a minute there. So while we're waiting for that, kind of two pages that are useful. So there's going to be two parts to what we're doing here. The first part is going to be the rate limiting, and the second part is going to be set up Fail2Ban. So rate limiting is just using NGINX has a built-in rate limiter. So if NGINX starts getting too many requests, it will start slowing down its responses and or returning errors or just not returning at all. So you can read about how to set that up on this page here. And again, I'll throw that link down below. And we'll kind of go over some of this stuff when we actually set it up. But this is a good. It's pretty easy to understand. Read, at least I thought so. So you have to make sure. Most people shouldn't have this problem, but one of these times when I was setting this up with a client that had an older version of NGINX, some of the features, I think the burst, if I remember correctly, the burst or the no delay. Anyway, some of these features are newer features in NGINX. So if you're working with an older version, rate limiting might be enabled, but there might not be burst or no delay. Or this two-stage rate limiting might not be set up. So, and of course you can allow certain things. Anyway, there's all that's there. So that's the first step, is you start rate limiting the requests for NGINX. So you just don't get swamped with requests. And the second part is Fail2Ban. And Fail2Ban works by just monitoring not just NGINX, but kind of any. Actually, it doesn't really matter about the application. It monitors log files. And when it sees so many certain errors in the log file from a given IP address, it will just ban that IP address. And by ban, I mean it will update the Linux IP tables to prevent any connections from that IP address. And so that's how Fail2Ban works. So it's going to be two parts in this. And I guess I should explain too, for people that don't know, rate limiting is when, so sometimes people just send a lot of requests to your website, like faster than a human would. So often this is, someone has a script either for malicious purposes, like they're trying to hack your site or something. They're just running a script looking for vulnerabilities, or sometimes people just running a script for scraping your website, or maybe some search engine's gone a little haywire trying to hit your site. And when you get all those requests, it can really slow down your site for real users, and potentially cause like excess CPU or memory usage or something. So you want to set up some sort of rate limiting to prevent that from happening. So if there's a bunch of requests that are coming from one spot or one IP address, you can slow them down, or just like it's kind of the way we're going to set up is, as at first we're just going to slow them down using the NGINX rate limiting. And then if people get too aggressive, you just ban them. You just don't let them connect. And then of course for Fail2Ban, you can set up by default, I think it's 10 minutes. It will block someone from connecting to your server. But of course you can configure all these settings. So it's kind of a two-step process. All right, so that's where you can find out some more about that. So these are two websites that I thought did a good job of explaining how everything works. So I would highly recommend giving those. And those are links. So if you go again to the GitHub repo here, you can find the links to those down below. Okay, so all right, so the Docker image is all there. Now let's just run it. I'm not going to, a lot of times when I run Docker images, I'll put the --rm in there. That'll remove the Docker image as soon, or sorry, the Docker container, not the image. Excuse me, as soon as we're done with it. But in this case, I don't want to, because I want to kind of keep the config settings around. So, and this service ports command, because we're not doing an up, we're doing a run. By default, run won't enable all the ports. It won't open the Docker ports. So in our case, if you look up here, you can see that we have port 8080 mapped to, so inside the Docker container, port 8080 is mapped to port 80 outside of the Docker container. So when we go localhost port 80, it'll go to the Docker container and it'll jump it to 8080, which is where the NGINX is running that we have set up by default. So if we look at the, or sorry, I have that, it's the other way around. Sorry, I did that backwards. Where's my, There we go. Sorry, that was backwards. So 8080 is the port on our local machine, because if I did port 80, then I wouldn't be able to connect to any websites. So on our local machine, port 8080 is mapped to the Docker container port 80, because that's where NGINX is going to listen by default. So you can see here, it's set up. Well, this is the file we'll use eventually, but the default NGINX one is set up to listen to port 80. So, okay, so we need to, if we don't put the service ports in there, it won't, Docker by default won't have any ports open and won't have port 8080 open, so we won't be able to connect to anything. So we'll run that. We run the demo start. So we have the two services. We have the demo start and we have the demo end. And the only difference between the two is which Docker file we're linking to here. So. And then we'll just run bash. So that'll bring up the Docker container. Oh, it's really slow for some reason. Okay, so while that's getting set up. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, so right now if we try to connect to it, NGINX isn't running by default. So if we go localhost, not 3000, 8080. All right, let's get rid of some of this stuff. All right, oh, NGINX is set up and running. I didn't think it was by default. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, okay. That was like a cache page I must have had earlier when I was testing this. Okay. Now if I run NGINX, there we go. And holding shift down when I refresh. All right, there we go. So now we're connected to NGINX. It's just running the default NGINX thing. So if we go to etc. NGINX, you can see what am I looking for? Oh, where does it put the? Did I type NGINX wrong? Oh, okay, I must have a typo there. Sorry. So you can see the is it in conf D? Where does NGINX put its config files again? Yeah, there we go. In conf D. Sorry, I get the two mixed up with Apache, where it puts its configuration files. They have that whole sites enabled, sites disabled thing. And I think some versions of NGINX or some setups will have the same thing, but in this case it's all. Yeah, okay. So here's our default configuration for NGINX. You can see basically we just listen on port 80 and we just return that default, like basically this index.html page, which is this welcome to NGINX page. So we're not doing anything too fancy here. And then if we have our logging set up, so we go, if we look at the access log, we can see we made 2 requests. Oh, here, let's just do this tail. All right, so we have this set up. So you can see, oh, I guess I'll move this over here. Boom, you can see another refresh. All right, so yeah, it's finding that page. Okay. So, all right, so that's all working. So right now, let's open another terminal. So what we have right now is we could set as many requests as we want to this page without problem. So we could just, I'm just gonna keep refreshing this, right? And we keep getting welcome. We don't get any errors or anything like that. And we can also demonstrate that by, there's a script in here. If we look at, what is it? Send requests. So it's just a little for loop that sends 10 requests in a row, that a curl script that I created here. And this one you need to run outside the Docker container, but it'll just pretend to, well, it won't pretend, it'll just send 10 requests real quick. So I think I have to make this executable first of all. I don't think I've done that yet, so let's do that. And then if we do, so there, we just sent 10 requests really fast. and you can see all of them. Every 200, for those who don't know, means the request was successful. So there we go. We got 200, or not 200. We sent 10 requests, and they all returned correctly with no errors. So okay, so there, that's kind of the default setup. But now we want to start rate limiting, because if people just keep sending these requests, that's hard on the web server. So the first thing we want to do is, actually, let's close this terminal and let's split this. There we go. For now. Okay. What am I thinking here? Oh yeah, so we want to I think, is Nano installed on this? Let's see. Let's go etc. NGINX. Let's go to our. All right, there's our default configuration. So, oh, okay, good. I do have Nano installed. All right, so this is the default configuration, but now we want to start adding some of the rate limiting. So the first thing we have to add is not here. Whoops. If we go look here. All right, so the first thing, we'll cut and paste from here, so I have to type everything. So first thing we have to do is we have to set up a rate limiting rule. And this lives, oops, nope. Try this again. Try and cut and paste this again. Paste. There we go. All right. So the first thing we do is got to set up this rate limiting rule. And so what this is saying is we want to limit it based on the IP address. The zone is just a name, so I did this for the BSides talk. That's why it's called BSides, but you can call it whatever you want, so you can have multiple zones. This 10M is 10 megabytes. This 10 megs. I have to remember. Oh, let's go take a look. So if we go look at that, I want to say, I think it was 16,000. The zone. Right, so, oh yeah, you got about 16,000 IP addresses, takes about 1 meg. So if we set up, I think they set up a 10, yeah, I probably just copied this from this. So for 10 megs, you got 100,000 or 160,000 IP addresses. So you can adjust this as needed. And the way it works is it'll keep 160,000 IP addresses, keep track of them, and then when it runs out, it'll start removing the oldest one last. And so this rate here, this is how many requests we want per second. So we'll allow 10 requests per second. I guess in my example, we allow 1 request per second here. If you do 10, it's not just 10 requests per second. It divides the however many you have, so this 10, by the time limit. So this is actually 1 request for every, what would that be, 100 milliseconds, something like that. So if you had 20 requests, that would be 1 request every what's a half of 100 milliseconds, like 50 milliseconds if I have my math correctly. So it's not like 10 that you're allowed, and if you want to change that to allowing bursts, we can talk about it in a second. But let's just go do 10 requests per second. So we set this rule up, and then you can use this rule in multiple places. So we only have 1 server, so we're only going to use it in 1 spot, and we'll set it up here. We won't use any of this burst stuff to start with, so let's just all right, so limit request zone equals BSides, and that's it. That's all we'll do. So let's save that. And then if we want to test our right, so basically before we kind of a habit I try to get into when I make changes to NGINX config is you can use this -t option. That'll check your config file so everything looks okay there. And then we can... Oh man, how do I restart NGINX again? Reload. There we go. All right, so now we should have reloaded that configuration. So now, what did we set it? Did we set it to 1? Or did we leave it at 10? Okay, so we set it to 10. So, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do a tail -f on the var log NGINX access log. It's a little, maybe can we get a little more, let's just hide the files there for now. Okay, so we could see a little bit more over here. So you can see, this is when I last run that curl command. You can see the 10 requests come in, and they all were 200s. But now if we run it, because we only allow 10 requests a second, this should fail. Let's see. Or some of them, it'll allow some of them, and then it'll start failing them. Let's see if it does that. Yeah. So, and again, the reason it does that, like theoretically we only sent 10 requests, but again, that 10 requests per second is actually like 1 request every 100 milliseconds, but we're sending them a lot faster than that. So that's why you'll see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So here's where we sent the next bunch of them. So the first one was allowed through, and then the rest we got 503s, which is like, it's not 504. What is it? 50? Oh, it says right here, service temporarily unavailable. So that's what NGINX will. I think you could change that too if you really didn't want to return anything. So then, I guess we sent one, it allowed it in, but the rest of them, it got blocked, and then it allowed this last one because it must have been less than 100 milliseconds. Can we see here? We don't have millisecond timing. 40. Oh yeah, so there's 39. So basically, yeah, we switched over from a second or something there. So, so you can see it started blocking those excess requests. So that's good. So that, for the most part, that part seems to be working. And then if you go look, oops, less var. So +G with the less command will take you to the end of the file, which in this case is, it won't be a very big file because we just started it, but NGINX error. All right, so there's no real errors there, but what we started seeing is every time that 503 error was returned, NGINX also wrote to the error log, and it wrote basically this error. So, right, so, and it recorded the IP address and stuff like that. So this is the, yeah, anyway, you'll see them both here. I have to remember, well, I'll have to take a look, because Fail2Ban monitors the log file. I don't know if it monitors the error log or the access log. I'll take a look what that default rule is. I forget. It's been a year. Okay, so there. So that's all set up. Well, that seems to be working. So there's a couple other things we could do. So this burst 5, what this does, the burst command will do is, so if we did like a burst of 5, what that would do is it would queue up 5 requests. So if we sent these 10, it's going to allow the first one will be allowed to go through, because we're sending 10 really quick within less than 100 milliseconds. The first one will go through, and then we saw the other ones were denied, but a burst of 5 will actually queue them up so that there's a slow delay when they get returned. So if we do that, now let's try it. I think I have this right. So we'll put this to burst 5. So what we should see is we should see about 6 successful requests. So let's see. Oh, I guess the other thing I should show before we change it, we still have that old config. If we just bring up the website, and we refresh it, I'll hold shift down just to make sure. Right, no errors. But if we click it real quick, am I going to be able to? I can't even click it fast enough to cause it to error out. So okay, so so physically I'm not able to cause an error there. So if we limit it to okay, let's just try it with the browser real quick. So if we limit it to 1 request per second, and then let's just check everything's okay. And we reload the config, and then let's bring up that tail. All right, so there's the access log. So now I'm going to go here, and then yeah, okay. So now we were able to do it fast enough. So there's the 503s we got. Okay. So yeah, that's what you'll see on the browser side of things. Oh, it doesn't show it anymore. But anyway, you got the default 503 error showing up on the browser. Okay. All right. So let's change this to burst equals 5. And then reload that. All right, so you don't, I guess, yeah, you can check the file status, but if there's any errors when you try and reload it, it'll complain. It's more like a habit I got out of when you're trying to edit NGINX files in production or something like that. You really get the reload, it can stop NGINX or cause problems if it runs and trying to reload the file, but anyway, you always want to test it before you reload it. Okay, so now we should be able to, if we run that burst, let's so actually what we can do, let's see, what does tail look like? Is that still, so if I highlight this, let's see, it kind of stays highlighted there. Okay, so you can see where we are. We're at the 194114. That was the last one. And if we send 10 requests, I think we should get about 6 that succeed. Let's see. Oh yeah, sorry, they're going to be delayed. So it's going to queue up to 5. Maybe they'll all go through because there's enough of a delay. Yeah. Okay, so it let them all through, but you noticed it was a lot slower than last time. If we were doing, so I guess with the only downside with my script that I have there is it sends them one at a time in a single thread. If you had some other load testing application that sent these requests in multiple threads, so say you sent 10 requests real fast, all through 10 different processes. The first 6 would make it through, and then the other 4 would fail. But the first 6 they'd be all queued up. So as soon as it hits more than 5, it's gonna delay that. Is there a way I can show that with this curl command? Let's see. Can I run 2 of these at the same time? Can I split this? All right, okay. Let's see. That. All right, let's see if I can do this. Oh, that's change mod. Okay. Let's see if I'll get some of these to fail. Maybe I have to send more. This is only still 2 threads. So. Oh yeah, they all still worked. All right, let's try it one more time. Maybe I'll have to lower that limit just to show this. Yeah, they're all passing. So okay, so let's lower that burst limit to 1. We'll see if it fails after that. Okay, so let's go here. Let's try a burst level of 1. Load that. Let's get the tail going. Okay, so where are we? 1944.33. See if we can get some of these to fail. Oh yeah, okay, good. So I thought this one ended so quick. Yeah, so the service temporarily available because we only allow burst level of 1. So if we scroll up to this one, yeah, the first one. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I got something. Oh, I don't know what's going on here. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I typed in the wrong command. Oh, I cut and pasted something in there by mistake. Okay. Let's live software demo. Let's try this again. Send requests, and then this one. Okay. Bang, bang. Yeah. So the second one ended real quick because all this one filled up the queue, and so as soon as this other process tried to connect, it wouldn't let it. So the other thing that you can add is this no delay option. So this allows you to have a burst without the delay. So we had the 5 that allow 5 requests, but they'll be queued. But so usually you want the burst with the no delay because oftentimes your website, when someone hits a page, you're going to load the page, plus it's going to request a bunch of images and CSS and stuff. So most applications are really what you would call bursty, right? So you hit a page and then maybe you get like, 15, 20 other requests come through all real quickly, loading CSS, loading JavaScript, loading images, and they hit the website real quick, and then there's a pause while people browse the page, and then they go to another page, and then there's another burst of activity. So most of the time you're going to want this no delay. So let's just add that. And all right. Let's see. What did we get going here? We got 1. So we got 10 requests per second with a burst of 1 with a no delay. So do we want to go back to 10 requests a second? And, well, okay, let's just do 10 requests a second with a burst of 5 and a no delay. So when we run it just on a single thread, what we should see, if I have this set up correctly, is 6 requests should come through really quick, and then the last 4 should be delayed. Well, let's check that. All right. So let's make this a little bit bigger here. What we'll do is we'll clear this one. All right, let's send some requests. Let's see if we can get 6 really quick. 5 or 6? I think 6 really quick, and then 4 that are delayed. Oh, no, they just returned service unavailable. They all happen real fast. So 1, 2. So what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, service unavailable, service unavailable, service unavailable. And then another request. Oh, okay, so maybe the burst option. Let's take a look. What does it say here? Yeah, 503. The rate specified. Okay, so this is the burst. Okay, so this is where we had the delay. Oh, right, okay. And then if we do the no delay, so they have a burst of 20 with a no delay. Oh, right, okay, so this is working as written. So, so if there's an empty slot, it's going to forward it and process it right away. If not, then so when you get the 21st And it'll freeze up one slot every 100 milliseconds. Right. Yeah, so only one slot in the queue's been freed and rejects the other 19. Yeah, okay, so it's working as expected. And then other things you could do, which I don't think we'll go into the demo for this, but you could set up 2-stage rate limiting. And then just slow it down after that. So, yeah, so this configures a burst of 12 requests, with the first 8 of which are processed without delay. Oh yeah, okay. So this is what I thought would happen. This is a 2-stage rate limiting, which we didn't have set up, but with this one, if I had this correctly, which we're kind of running out of time. I don't want this video to go too long. Is you can allow 8 requests without delay, and the rest will just get queued instead of this case where they're just dropped. Once you get past 20 requests here, they're just going to get dropped. So, okay, cool. So we can see those both in action. Let's close. I don't think we need this one open anymore. There we go. So anyway, that's rate limiting. And again, it gets all of that is written to the log file. So the next thing we want to do is we want to set up fail2Ban, because we're not actually banning any IP addresses. We're just slowing things down now. But if someone's running a script, even if it's even if we're slowing them down, it's still annoying. Like if one IP address is really hitting our site hard, we probably just want to ban them, at least for a little while. And so we could do that. Well, let's see, fail2Ban. Oops. Isn't there a fail? Yeah. Oh, I keep forgetting to put the CD. That's why I keep failing there. Okay. So anyway, here's the fail2Ban, and then you can put you can create various config files. Well, actually, fail2Ban has a lot of options already set up. So, and I think, is it the jail? I think it's this one. Right. Okay. So this one, this jail.config, has a bunch of default kind of fail2Ban options you could turn on, right? So let's see if we can find, like, here's, so this is the one that's usually on by default, is the SSH one. So a lot of Linux versions, when you first set them up, like Ubuntu, will have this SSH daemon fail2Ban jail enabled. So it's called a jail. Each one of these is, fail2Ban dubs each one of these jails. So there's drop bear. All right, so let's go NGINX. All right, there we go. So here's the NGINX one. So there's a couple different things we're going for this example. This is one I've set up for my clients in the past. It's just this rate limiting one. So this module is already installed because we were able to turn on rate limiting NGINX. And then we define these. We define these in the file already. And it's actually, yeah, okay, I was right. It's looking in the error log. So if you dig a little deeper into the config files, what NGINX does is it has like it just reads these log files looking for a particular error in the log file. And when it sees enough of them, it will ban that IP address. So if we look, again, if we look in the var log NGINX error log, we can see this is the error it's looking for here. So, and what it's going to do is it's going to monitor these IP addresses, and it needs the time, which is over here. So if you get X number of these, if X number of these error messages show up in the log file within a certain amount of time, then we'll ban them. And so, okay, so the easiest way to turn that on is, if we go back to that jail.config, NGINX. It doesn't show it in here, but basically we just, all the settings are there that we want already. We just need to enable it because all these are disabled by default. And we can do that by, let's bring up my files again. There's Fail2Ban. So we just can enable it there. And then we want to put that in, just so you don't edit the config, jail.config file. I wouldn't recommend editing that directly. Instead, I would inside this jail.d folder, which is empty, I think, yeah. You just create a file in here that turns on the various jails that you want, and then you can also update any options that you want to as well. So what are we going to call it? You can call it anything you want, actually. We might as well stick with the same name. All right. And then we have NGINX limit rec enabled equals true. Okay, so now Fail2Ban client. Should be able to start. So Fail2Ban is even turned on right now. So let's turn it on. We can ignore this error message here for now. Okay, so it's all good, and you can see the jails again. The the Fail2Ban commands. I have a lot of them listed here. So some interesting ones once it's running are kind of, this one lets you see the status. This will show you all the jails you have enabled. This one will show you the information in ARC for a particular jail, like kind of the IPs that are banned. And this one is if you're banned yourself, you can unban yourself. So one thing to note when you're working with a remote server, like say you have this set up on AWS and you're just experimenting with it, you gotta maybe have your SSH connection already open and establish your, because this could potentially ban your IP address. So it'll keep it banned for like 10 minutes. So if you're testing something, you might want to be able to run this command to unban yourself. So okay, so let's just Fail2Ban client. So it should show the one jail. Yeah, there's our NGINX one. So like interesting, like I'm running, so on the right here, I think okay, so I'm running Ubuntu. Okay, I guess I don't have Fail2Ban set up on my workstation. I thought Ubuntu might have this set up by default, at least the desktop version. Yeah, maybe I don't have it. No. I'm curious. I thought it. Well, a lot of the servers seem. No, I guess I don't. Yeah. Huh. Oh. Where do we need to go? Home. Desktop, repos. Okay, there we're back. So anyway, I guess this desktop doesn't have it set up, but a lot of the servers I've worked with, like if you're on a Debian server or something, they seem to have it enabled by default. But I guess you should check. Okay, so what was I going to show here? Fail2Ban client. Status, what did we call this thing? NGINX limit requests. So so you can see that, so it's already parsed some of the log file. This is how many it has requests that have failed, but it hasn't banned any IP addresses yet. And where do you I think the defaults, if we wanted to see the default, I think it's 10 minutes. I think it's in here. right? So 10, oops. Oh, maybe it's not. Where does it put it again? Is it in jail? Does this have the defaults? It's hard to read. Let me move this over here. Or sometimes I wish oh, okay. Yeah, so yeah, so again, don't modify this file. So you could change the ban time. So I think, let's see what the default ban time is. Of course, there's like a million options for fail2Ban. Oh yeah, so the ban time here is 10 minutes. So when something's banned, it'll be banned for 10 minutes. And then we look for, yeah, so basically we have 5 errors within 10 minutes, ban them for 10 minutes. So that's the default. So you could change that in this jail.conf file, your custom jail.conf file if you want, but we'll just leave it as is. So, and then you can also see the log file at our log fail2ban. Oops, .log. Right, so here we can see we started fail2ban. There's the jail. Oh yeah, it even puts the defaults here. So this is 600 seconds, right? Which is 10 minutes. 10 minutes. The log file it's writing to, which we're looking at right now. And if you had other jails, it would show them in here. So yeah, so it found some previous times where that error appeared in that log file. So let's tail okay, actually, let's just do a quick reminder of what we have set up right here. So if we look at NGINX, NGINX, all right, so if we look at this, we are allowing 10 requests per second with a burst of 5 and a no delay. So if we run that script once, we're going to end up with 3 or 4, I think it's been about 3 errors, which isn't enough to get us banned. But if we ran that script twice really quick, it should get us banned. So let's see what happens. Okay. So we have this set up, so we have that tailed. And then let's run. Okay, so we should see in the log file. Let's make sure we're down at the bottom. So we have those 3, but I think 1948:54. Oh, I don't know what the time is all going to be different than my current clock. So. Okay, anyway, let's run these and see what happens. So, so we got a couple errors. Oh, I didn't tail it, sorry. All right, there, now we got some more, right? So we had 3 before, now we have another 3, and these ones were more than 10 minutes. So these old 3 ones don't count, right? Because they're less than 10 minutes away. So if we run it again, we should see this get banned. Yeah, okay, so it's hard to see here because of the, there we are. So there, now this IP is banned. So we got an OK here, and then this was unavailable. Now if we run requests again, all 10 of them should be banned. Or sorry, not even banned, we're going to get this. And that is because we're blocked at the firewall level. So even if we go to our website, right, it's basically going to time out because the web server's not even going to respond to us. And that'll be banned for 10 minutes. So, and if we look, all right, so if we look at our firewall, our IP tables here, the firewall, we can see that there's a fail2ban thing set up here. So we're going to reject all requests from this port. And then we're going to tell basically it's you can't find it. So so this we're not going to do all reports. We're just doing HTTP ports. So you can actually still SSH in there, but yeah. So yeah, it's blocking ports. Our website ports. The IP address is this one, and we're rejecting it. So yeah, basically there. That's how rate limiting and fail2ban can kind of work together. So I found that really useful, especially for some of my smaller to medium-sized clients. Like maybe you have a client with just a small web server, running on AWS. They're small, so they only have the one server running. But I found when they get hit with a script or something, it can just bring their server to its knees. Where someone's just running a hacking script, or like one of those scripts where you look at the log files and it's like a bunch of clearly they're looking for a bunch of WordPress errors or something like that, because you see all the WP admin and stuff like that requests. And so I found this just a really useful way to just kind of make those scripts and those people not affect the site and hopefully make them go away, because a couple of requests will come through and then you just get banned, or they just get banned. And then you can change the ban time for however long you want. 10 minutes, an hour, whatever. If the one IP address keeps coming back, you can get rid of it. So there are a couple things to watch out for, though, is if you're getting a lot of requests to your website from like a corporate address, maybe it all looks like it comes from one IP address. Well, sorry about that, everyone. We had a power outage just towards the end of this video, hence the abrupt, well, hopefully maybe I'll be able to edit it and it won't be such an abrupt transition. But astute viewers will notice that the time up top here has changed. I guess if I was like a real professional or whatever, I wouldn't show the clock or whatever. It's like when you see an actor that has a different shirt and you're like, oh no, they clearly filmed that on separate days. So we're just going to finish off this video real quick. And I'm trying to remember what the heck was I talking about. Oh yeah, right. So when you have multiple IP addresses, if you have multiple requests coming from the same IP, like maybe you have a corporate IP or a VPN, you might need to adjust your rate limits. Like if a bunch of people are visiting your site from one of those, and it's legitimate visits, but you can always tweak, however many requests you allow per second. And of course, this bursts is probably one of the best ways to do it. And again, when you first set this up, you're going to want to set it up so that your site, when someone comes to a page, the burst can easily handle all the requests that'll come from one page. So if you got to load the page and any images on that page and any JavaScripts or similar things, you're going to want to make sure that a burst can accommodate one of those. And so usually you just do that just by setting you look at the log files and you see how many pages, or so how many requests come. How many requests come. But when someone hits like a page, you're going to want to see how many other things are loaded, like the first time they visit it, especially if they don't have anything cached. And then just set your burst rate about that, or maybe a little bit higher. So if you see like, every time someone hits a page, I usually load like 10 more requests come through, then set the burst to 10 or maybe to 15. and that should be good. Yeah, just play around with it and just kind of monitor the logs for a little bit after, and it should all be good. Yeah, so I think I'll just wrap it up there. So again, sorry for the abrupt transition and probably a quicker ending than I meant for it to have. But I think I covered everything I wanted to cover in this video. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can leave a comment down below on the YouTubes, or you can send an email to ask@SaturdayMP.com. That's ask@SaturdayMP.com. And of course, if you have any other questions, security related, software development, software consulting, kind of anything along those lines, feel free to also send me an email, leave a comment below, and I can answer it in a future video. Or if you want to pair on a problem or something in a future video, by all means, please give me a shout. And oh yeah, before I wrap this up, I'll just say too, just a reminder that you can find the example that we did today on SaturdayMP examples rate limiting. And I was, oh yeah, right. I was hoping to get this video up before BSides conference, but of course that has passed. That was one of the things that got in my way of trying to finish this off. So yeah, hopefully BSides was great. If you watch the video, I hadn't attended at the beginning of the video, but we're breaking the fourth wall. BSides Edmonton was fantastic. I had a really good time. And thank you to everyone I was able to meet there, and for setting up the Capture the Flag event. That was, of course, was a lot of fun. Right, I guess, yeah. So sorry, I should wrap this up. We're going a bit long. So thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. It's very humbling when people watch this and comment to give me some feedback. I really appreciate that. And yeah, take care, and I hope I'll see you on the next video. Happy coding.